Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. It's a special video. It's a little different, okay? And I'm using the EconomicPreppers backdrop about our event. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I want to talk about something that's been coming up a lot lately, and it's about being prepared. That's why I'm using this backdrop, and it's about the economy. So that's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to share my screen and just walk through, and it's kind of a what if, kind of a little woo-woo too, so bear with me. But just to see how this goes and just see if you see what I'm seeing. And just as I do a lot of research on economy and how all this thing comes together and being prepared and not scared, well, let's see what you see when I see and share what I'm seeing. So let's get to it. All right. Starting off with this. Now, I wasn't going to go down this road, but Ninja did. Okay. Economic Ninja went down the road. Literally. He's parked in his car. I don't know if he's driving, but I don't think he was driving when he did this video, but he did a rather long video about saying you have weeks left. Okay. This video came out just a few days ago, and he's talking about the Shmita Jubilee. And that is a particular date in the Jewish calendar where, if you go back historically speaking and throughout biblical times, or historically speaking, it leads to a debt jubilee. Now, there's some people that have to believe in Nassar and Jassar. They look at these kinds of events too, but it's funny how these things line up. And he mentions Jonathan Kahn, I think it is, and I think I had that shared. But let me start sharing a few things that I'm seeing. But this is something that happens every 7 years. Okay, every 7 years. Well, the Jubilee doesn't, but every 7 years there's the Shmita event. Now, I'll get to that. So this has been covered many times. And here's Cointelegraph, a crypto site, talking about the 7-year cycle leading up to the 2015. It happens in September every 7 years. So it happened in September 2015. It's supposed to happen again in September 2022. We'll talk about that date. So I don't think I highlighted it in this one, but it's the Shemita, or it's Yiddish. It's the translation is a little bit difficult to, how the Anglophiles speak, the English spelling of it. So it's a Jewish observance that goes back thousands of years. But here is, so it's every 7 years something is supposed to happen. Okay. There's a quote from, like, at the end of 7 years, you will make a release, and in this manner of the release, you release the hand of every creditor from what he lent his friend. He shall not exact from his friend or his brother, because the time of the release for the Lord has arrived, according to Deuteronomy. Now, not to go all biblical, and I think that the Bible's been rewritten many times, but it's worth talking about because of this, the coincidences that seemed almost too good to be true for how this all lines up. So I pulled these dates. The dates that we're going to talk about happens every September. And here's a summary of the recent Shmita years. So in 1966, there was a bear market. In 73, there was another bear market. In 87, there was a stock market crash. In 94, there was a bear market in bonds. 2001, we all know what happened in September. 2008, the great financial crisis. 2015, commodity meltdown and stock market correction. And the question mark of 2022. Now, I remember some of these events, but not all. So I wanted to do a little bit more homework. And I looked at these, and here's another summary of it. And again, the wave doesn't really mean much. It's just another representation of different things. And I was curious what they were flagging for 2015 and 2022, because a lot of images don't spell out what happened in 2015. I'm not going to read either one, but you can read your screen, maybe like a little larger there, but you can see what these events are. And I don't want to say some of these things because of the algorithm on the site that I'm on, but you get an idea. Okay. Every 7 years seems to be something that goes on. Now, there's also about, so I dug into the 2015 one about the stock market collapse, because I didn't really see it, but I did find these articles about the 2015 commodity catastrophe. And there was an article about that silver lost a lot of value in 2015. There's a lot of issues about the S&P index. But I dug in. I did not see on the graph. I looked at the graph for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and I know that 2008 we had a correction, but I didn't really see one in 2015. Like, digging in here in 2015, I mean, there's a little blip in here. Okay, there's a little bit of bumpage, but we think a steady run up until 2020. We know what happened then, but there was a blip here in the stock market. Same thing for the NASDAQ. I looked at that too. But if you look at the average return by year, 2015 was viewed as a negative year. So it wasn't a positive year, but it's surrounded by positive years, two 2 years later and 3 years before. So something to be said for it. So where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. So what is the date for the next sabbatical year? That would be September 26th is the end of the year. So that's an interesting date because I'm seeing a lot of things line up for the end of September. And there's also there's a periodicity to it. Easy for me to say, but there's every 7 years, and then there's every 50 years. That's when the Jubilee year happens. That's what this article talks about. The Shmita and Yovel. Please don't hold pronunciation against me. But I wanted to highlight this. It's like after 7 times 7, 49 years, there's a Jubilee, and that happens in the 50th and 51st years. The Yovel is the 50th year. So if this ends, right, if we go back to the chart, all right, and the dates, and I'm just putting this together, just saying this is a what if kind of story. If 7 years ends in 2022 in September, because with that date of September 26th, which I think was right here. Hold on. September 26th, right there. That's the end of the year. That's the end of that 7-year period. If we go back here, that's when this is going to happen. So I don't know what those initials mean, but we'll see. But if that's like the end of a 7-year cycle, now I saw a lot of charts that were made in the 2015. As I showed you earlier, there was a lot about 2015, and there was a measure of 7 times 7 years, but this was made back in 2015. I think this is an incorrect counting. So what I'm saying is that the 50th year starts after we went off the gold standard. So here, period 1 goes to 1980, 87, 94, 2001, 2008, 2015, 2022. There would be the 7th period. 7 periods after the global financial correction. Okay, 7 full cycles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if that was to happen, I'm playing what if here. If that was to happen, that means the Jubilee year would start at the end of September this year, and that would be the Yovel year for a debt Jubilee. Again, this is what a lot of people are pointing towards, and that believe in the Nasara Jasara or the debt Jubilee or the corrections. And I'm sure, I can never remember Bo's last name, but I'm sure Bo would be talking about this too. If you can remember Bo's last name, please put it in the comments because I'm drawing a blank. But he talks about a lot of cyclical prophecies and dates and how it all lines up with the economy. Maybe it'll, Bo. Oh, it's going to bug me now. All right. But I think a lot of you know. Put it in the comments. We'll get it. My phone's ringing, so it's time to take an intermission. Whoa, after a long intermission there for a phone call, I'm back and just wrapping. Hopefully this goes smoothly as I get my thoughts back together. But I just wanted to share a few more stories about some of the things that are where there's smoke, there might be fire. So this is the things that I'm seeing and I've heard about. I've heard about a few more, but I can't prove them. So I'm only going to share the ones that I know about and I have a story. But there are a lot of stories that are kind of aligning to the end of September, which is kind of aligns with the dates that remember that date that I talked about, which is right. Come on. Right there, September 26th. Right. So first one, the Vatican, from the leader of the Vatican, the Vatican entities want everybody to move all their money funds to the Vatican Bank by the end of September. Okay, that's story number 1. So get out of the banks, move it over there. Fed now is aiming for September testing. Now, there's been talk about CBDCs in the U.S. in 2023, but they're amping up testing really fast. This is an expedited schedule that they're testing in. This just came out. We talked about that a couple of videos ago, but they want September testing, so something might be coming soon. And another one, like Binance is moving away from USDC, and FTX is already not using USDC, and they're getting rid of all these other different stablecoins, True USD, USDC, and Pax Dollar. They're not going to get any trading pairs. They're not going to be they're converting everything over to Binance USD at the end on September 29th, end of September. So, and then one more that I was able to find is like there's another bank holiday. Happens a lot all over the globe, but there's a bank holiday in India on September 26th. So let me round this out to one more chart, and then I'll bring it all home and just talk about the what if. But I wanted to show the Bitcoin rainbow price chart, and I've shown this many times before, but I wanted to go to the 7-year cycle again, just like that's what was the price at September 2015. If I go back, and I'm going to go back to this 2015 date, right? If it was there really it's September 2015, was there really a low point in the marketplace for Bitcoin too? So let's find September 2015. And remember, this is European date, so it's written backwards. So there's a September, and you can see that it's basically a fire sale. September 20th, 2015, Bitcoin is $226. The peak, which was in 2013, was over $1,000, $1,200. So it went from $1,200 to two something. So that's more than, that's like over 80% down. Okay, it's 80% drop. An 80% drop happened over 2 years to a minimum, and then it took off from September onwards. Interesting charting. Look at the chart now. Here we are in September of 2022, and Bitcoin is again in the blue zone on the rainbow chart, which says the blue area says basically it's a fire sale. So is Bitcoin at a low, and are we about to go upwards from here? The cycle seems to align. Interesting charting. I thought that was very interesting to see. The 7-year cycle seems to line up that way. So let me stop sharing and wrap up this video. I'm not going to do any commercials or anything. You can see, like, this is the kind of things that we like. I look at as, my history is interesting. I used to do real estate. I've always been involved in silver, and now I'm a big crypto guy for the last. Sorry about that, but been a big crypto guy for the last 6 or 7 years. Okay. And it's all about having control and freedom. And this is what we're talking about, because we know that things are changing. The economy is changing. We're moving from a financial system to an economy, and we need to be prepared. So that's why the name Economic Preppers. And the importance of this one-day event is really to get everybody under one roof. We want people that do real estate to talk to people that know gold, silver, and crypto. We want crypto people to talk to real estate people, gold and silver. And we want the precious metal guys to talk to both too, or ladies as well. Having those conversations all under one roof allows people to get educated, be prepared and not scared for what's going to come that no one alive has ever seen, which is a world without the US dollar as we know it. So lots of changes coming. We want to share our knowledge. We want to share it as affordably and inexpensive as possible. Tickets are only $200. They're less than $200. And that ends, I think it's next Friday. So get your tickets now. If you have somebody on the fence that might want to learn about this, I mean, you get free lunch. It's a day of talking to like-minded people. You get a workbook to take home. I don't know what's not to like. It's if you're flying in, there's a shuttle from the airport to and from the hotel, and the hotel's just like $125 a night or so. So it's a great rate. We've gotten everything lined up for you to attend to make it as easy to attend. It's a conference made easy. So we'd love to see you down in Dallas. We'll talk about these kinds of things, and we'll put all these things together. And we have AMA sessions. We have Q&As. We're updating the agenda to include CBDC discussions. So we're going to talk about the current events, and we're going to talk about all 4 of these elements while we're there, and why you may be interested in some more than others. So not financial advice, but just sharing our education, because we all had exposure to all these different areas and throughout our lives. So with all that said, I want to close the drawer in the bureau, say follow leader one more time. I can't wait to see your comments, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.